listed out all my bullet points that I wrote down from like every time I watched a video, I'd write notes, typed up all my notes, and then
Okay.
told ChatGPT to organize it in a video format. So I
Okay.
did use AI.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for the people, yeah. So we started the live, by the way. For the
No, you're
this is
good.
so not intro, so random. For the people who
Yeah.
are like so against AI as a tool, y'all are annoying, bro. Like I actually want everything that I'm saying to be researched. Look it up, find material, see what I'm saying, you know, and that should go for anything. And so there's like this weird group of people that like for some reason they like talk crap about people who use AI, and I'm like, look, like I understand that it can be misleading. You would know more than me, right? Like you probably have more background in it. Yes, it can be like it can glitch, for lack of a better way to explain it, but as long as you like pull up sources, it shouldn't be an issue, right? What do you think?
I think it's how you use it. I think a lot of there's a point where AI was made to like cater the user, so it would say you're right no matter what you said.
Right.
And so there were issues, and people get like a misunderstanding because of that, like almost like believing everything they read.
Yeah.
Confirmation bias, like it was just like, yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
No matter what you asked. They have improved it a little bit, but sometimes it still gets stuff wrong. So I'd say just double and triple check sources when using AI. But if you're using it as a tool, I don't think there's any issue with that. Like it's not going to make your picture wrong. It's not going to, you know, pull up a wiki article, or like almost like if you use it like Google, where you're pulling searches, and like it's not going to do those things wrong.
Yeah.
It won't do tasks wrong. It will be your friend incorrectly. It'll do stuff like that incorrectly. So don't try to be its friend. Don't be weirdly social with like AI. That would be my
like people marrying their AI girlfriends. Insanity.
Yeah, and like I mean, we don't want to get too dark, but yeah, there's been very horrible things that AI have convinced people to do.
Okay. All right, well, guys, welcome to episode 40 of the live episode of the weekly sit down. I got Cameron, a returning guest, with me. Everybody say hi.
Glad to be back.
Thank you. This should be
nice.
This should appreciate you guys. Yeah, Rabbit's awesome friend of mine. So guys, this should be on all platforms in terms of podcasts. If not, let me know. But we're here on YouTube mainly, so make sure you like it if you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you got questions for me or Cameron live later, we'll be taking them. Today it's kind of just going to be a free ball. We're going to be talking about all things. It mainly focused on religion and politics a little bit, philosophy mainly. Religion and philosophy, is that fair? Yeah. So
I would say it pretty centers around religion for the most part.
Okay. So then, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I guess like if you guys don't know Cameron and you want a little more background on him, maybe you can do on the first one. But if you want to give a quick intro, kind of like explain where you're coming from and what led to this, feel free, you know, and then we'll go from there.
So I met Yugi through YouTube. I guess I'll start. But, as far as the conversation goes, we're gonna talk from agnostics. I'm gonna be on the agnostics point of view as far as religion, and kind of how I got here. So I started when I was raised. I was raised Christian Baptist. You know, I grew up being a believer in Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior. I got baptized as a baby from my grandma, who was Roman Catholic. And just like while she babysat us, like, you know, I have family that went to church or like college for student ministry and are still in ministry and stuff. My family, a lot of my family is still Christian, like, so heavily Christian household. Age 12, I got baptized in the Baptist church, accepting Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior then. As I got older, around like probably age 15, 16 in high school times, I would say it got to the point where I think this was around when Obama was president. And
thanks, Obama. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know I make that joke all the time. But like things like gay marriage and stuff were being legalized, and things like my church, and I'm sure plenty of other churches had major issue with that, and
Yeah.
would bring it up a lot, and really intertwine politics with religion.
Mhm.
And I think growing up in, I don't know, like me as a wanting to be accepting person, and as far as like what Jesus teaches is accepting like all his children and all sins are equal, and how much hatred I felt was going towards these people when, you know, God is saying that's the equivalent to you speeding or you, and well, we can even get into that a little bit, where I don't even necessarily think Jesus ever said gay marriage is bad, but
Okay.
I know there's interpretations as far as that goes. But the church focuses so much on that
Okay.
at that time that it started making me turn away from the church. As I grew even a little bit older, I started questioning things more. I have friends who, you know, have philosophy degrees, like went to Harvard or other things, and talking to them more, and then, you know, just wanting to find an answer for what people consider probably, and I would probably agree, is like one of the most important questions you could have, which is like, why are we here?
Yep.
You know, how are we here? How is there something instead of nothing?
All right. All right.
Things like that. So exploring the theology behind it, the likelihood, and just questioning my own beliefs led me to thinking that at least the God that I was raised to believe doesn't, at least isn't the answer, or the interpretation of what I was taught wasn't the answer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily against the God, the Christian God being the answer. I just don't think the churches are the
Interpretation of it.
correct answer.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
and I also am not necessarily against the belief that all the gods that people like, one religion's God and another religion's God, I think they have so many similarities, like at the core, that the main
Okay.
core things are close enough that I'm not like against all the religions just being kind of different interpretations of the same God, or and when I say God, I'm just saying like a being that started the universe. And I don't know whether that's hands on or hands off or omnipresent or not,
Okay.
or all
Yeah.
powerful or all loving. So I
Okay.
think there could be a higher power that's not all loving or not all powerful or just omnipresent. So
Okay.
yeah, and we'll go into conversations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But
So it's
you
more like
please share where you're coming from,
okay.
or
Sure.
if you have
Sure.
any questions for me.
No, I got you. Yeah. No. So I grew up going to Catholic school. If you know anything about that, that's not
Yeah.
really to me. I didn't really take it seriously. I was a kid. You know what I mean? I didn't really
Yeah.
care. Um, my parents are not Christian, at least not in the traditional sense. So I didn't come to understand what Christ is until I was like 17. And I really sat down and went over the Bible, and then I believed in him. And I've been ever since. I just didn't take it like as seriously as I should until I would say like maybe the last 3, 4 years. Like really doing research, really looking into it, making sure that I know what I'm talking about and that
Mhm.
I actually understand what it is that I believe rather than just believing something because someone told me, right?
Mhm.
Um
Which I think was a lot of my childhood too,
yeah,
was
yeah. I
believing
mean
what
that's
people told you, and I think that's
that's pretty
most
much everything
Christians.
though. Well, here's the thing, like
Yeah.
everything's passed down. And
Yeah.
so it's some I think it's for reasons that is going to take a long time to explain. I'm going to sum it up quickly. I think it's incumbent on all people to investigate what they believe. I do believe that. I
Agreed.
think
I agree
every
with that
single person, yeah,
100% too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, that led me to stay a Christian because obviously, thank goodness we're in America and we can choose, right? Some places you
Mhm.
can't. Some places it's illegal, right? So, luckily that was where I stayed and I believe in it and I'm firm on that. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from in terms of that. Obviously, we met on YouTube. I don't even think we even touched this topic, so
No,
obviously,
I
yeah, no, no.
so I saw you talking about it a little bit, and I've been interested in the subject, especially lately. I'd say like in the last year or so, been, you know, diving more into it, like, and I've been trying to see both perspectives. Like, even I think I focus mostly on Christian just because I haven't explored other religions, and it's the one I understand the most. So of course the Christian outlook from our region, like the U.S. more likely and everything. So
yeah. It's the most relevant in this region. That makes sense.
yeah,
Okay, but yeah,
and I have the best understanding already. Where
yeah,
if I opt
exactly,
into
yeah,
something
yeah,
else,
yeah. It's not
kind of
like
like what you
you're
said, it's in our language as well. At least this our interpretations.
absolutely, absolutely. It's a majority Christian nation, and like you said, obviously that's going to
Hmm.
affect everything. That's going to affect laws. That's going to affect lifestyle. That's going to affect businesses. That affects
Hmm.
everything. So, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so if there's any questions I had, I guess it'd be, I think you were getting into before the pod started that you had a topic first to kick off with. So we
Yeah,
were gonna do issue. Yeah, what was
I
it?
guess yeah. It's just a simple question: is like, why
Mhm.
do you believe? Like, why do you believe the
Oh, okay.
Christian God is God? I guess.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Because these
I
are
know
big
that's kind of a
questions.
it
So
is
I'm
a
gonna.
big question.
These are very big questions that
Yeah,
take, and I
or
don't want to
if
be
it
long.
helps, like what led you to believe, or like what originally
Okay.
led you to
Sure. Sure.
believe. Maybe that will help. I can
Sure.
break it
Sure.
down a little bit
No,
more
you're
to
good. You're good.
specificities.
I'll keep it concise and then explain if you need me to.
Yeah.
I believe that Christianity is the only religion that best explains what comports to reality. In other words, I didn't just become Christian. I looked into all the world religions, all their theologies, and seen that Christianity is the most consistent. Could I be wrong? Sure. I think anybody could be wrong about what they believe, but as far as epistemology, philosophy, theology, logic itself, I think it's best grounded in the Christian framework, not denominationally, just the framework. And when I say that, I mean like everybody
Yeah, the
has a
bones.
framework. Yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly. You
bones
know,
of it.
yeah. I don't have to explain it. Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're
they
you're you're
know.
you're 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 in you're in
The
the ball
Yugi
game.
viewers. Yeah, the
Gotcha,
Yugi viewers.
gotcha. Yeah, the Yugi viewers.
And I appreciate you looking into other religions because I feel
Yeah,
like that's something a lot of people don't do, especially when they're pigeonholed and taught something from a young age. Like you said, you're going to school at that age. So for you to branch out and actually look into other stuff, I think that's pretty rare.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, I was lucky in that my parents kind of let me be. You know what I mean? They let me explore. They never, even though they're not mainline Christians in their particular sect of whatever we want to call it right now, they don't even force their beliefs on you. So they will
hmm,
tell you, we want you to come to us willingly. If you don't, we don't want you at all. So I will say I'm lucky. Not a lot of people get that privilege, right? A lot of people get it
yeah.
literally shoved down their throat. And you
Well,
know,
I'd say it was similar in my sense. Like you felt almost ostracized. Like, and I
yes.
know it's not to the same level that like someone who was homosexual, if they came out to their family, would feel ostracized, but it has that same feeling that you feel like, oh, I'm the only one that doesn't believe now, and how I can't tell anybody this. And even only recently have I like talked to my family, or not my parents, but family members about it. Like, what do you
Yeah.
believe? And asking them those questions. And even when I ask those questions, I get reluctance or like, why are
Why
you
are you even
asking?
questioning it? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
while people, when asking, seem to have closer beliefs to what mine is now than I thought, it was almost like part of me felt like, oh, this is like taboo. I shouldn't ask about this.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm the wrong one for not believing anymore. So I think,
Nah.
so I'm not
I
here
think
to like convince Yugi it's wrong. I just want people to, I don't think I would. I could. It's more to have everyone think more deeply about it and then me get a
mm-hmm.
better perspective of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big thing when I was, like telling people I was a non-believer, in the like general sense,
Yeah.
is that I wanted to explain why, and and we'll get into some other stuff as far
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
believing goes. But okay,
Sure.
did you have? And I'll finish this section. But like, what is your strongest? Do you have like? I know you have probably a culmination of reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have like a strongest reason that you personally believe God exists? So like a piece of evidence that you feel like like
Yeah.
strongly
So
grounds you in the belief
this is gonna
of God.
sound. This might be new. You might have never heard this before. My approach is max data. That means I take everything into account. I take personal experience, empirical evidence, theological evidence, scientific evidence. I take everything. So when you ask me that, it's a little hard to narrow it down.
For sure, I think that'll help me at least, because then there'll be answers, I think, questions that I'll have.
Yeah.
That I think are the explained, because I'm not believing because I'm like, this one thing's off, now I don't believe.
Yeah,
I agree with you. That
well, it sounds like you're a consistent agnostic. When people tell me that, the reason why I joke about it is because a lot of them are inconsistent. So when you say truly I don't know and I'm open to it, that's an honest person. When they say I'm open to it, then you start asking questions about the way that, let's say, their epistemology, right? So they'll say, I don't see any evidence for the supernatural. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Since the beginning of humanity, people have been claiming they've been talking to deities. I'm not special pleading as a Christian. I'm saying everyone's saying this. So it's a little strange. So you only have two choices. They're all insane. There's something unreliable about the human condition, or possibly, potentially, these are real experiences. Now, what explains it, right? So when I talk to...
I have another option for that, is that people will find a reason, like people will question things regardless and try to come up with answers for something they can't answer themselves. And
to that, I would say, it was like we're already starting a debate early. Here we go.
We don't have to go too deep into it.
No, we won't. I got you, and I understand that's a gut reaction. The problem is that would be fallacious because you would have to prove motive. You would have to prove that every single so you would have to prove that every single person, not every single person, I know you're not saying that, but let's say hypothetically that may be the case. How do we know that that's the case for every single person that so-called had an experience that they couldn't explain? How do we know that? How could we even justify that? Because
I mean, of course we couldn't answer for every single person, but beyond, I think everyone would have their own personal reasons, right? So some people might be wanting a greater being. Some people might be taking advantage of other people. Some people might actually think like our brains are pretty high tech, and people hallucinate nowadays, and maybe they took a mushroom and did see what they thought was a heaven or multiple gods with
that does happen. That does happen.
And there's like an argument that if the religions didn't exist that we have now, like Hinduism, Muslim, Christianity, if these things didn't exist, that other religions would take their place. So it doesn't necessarily say the religions we have are correct, just because they exist, where other ones could exist in place of these if these ones cease to exist, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm saying, that's why you have to take all the information, because that's where I would factor in when you investigate each case, what's the logical conclusion as to why these things were created, right? So for example, there are certain cults that we can reasonably conclude that like they were started purely for power reasons or purely for political reasons. It may not be true, but it may be what best explains it. So I'll grant to you that may be the case, that it is there are cases out there that exist in which somebody had an experience and the only explanation they come to is there's some sort of deity that I just don't understand how to articulate. Now it just begs the question now though, is it true or are they just making it up? So you still run into the same kind of conundrum.
I think the experiences could be true without making it up, but the experience is just a human experience or a relative experience to that person, not necessarily the greater.
Okay. So
I get there's so many cases, so I'm not disagreeing that there's no possible chance that what you're saying is not true.
Yeah.
I'm just offering another explanation, I guess.
It could be internal.
Yeah.
Not external. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
well, and there's also like group hallucinations. Like if one person sees a UFO, people start looking out and they all see UFOs. There's things like that group hallucinations happen.
And I gotta look into the data of that one. That's one of the few things I haven't looked into, but I have seen cases in which there's auditory noise that everyone's heard, yet no one's there. For example, I talk about this one a lot. Where, so for example, I'll throw a quick scenario, and if you want this, let me know. I'll send it to you after, or I can send it to you now if you want. So there's a woman. Long story short, driving real fast, goes over a cliff. She has a infant in the back with her. She dies on impact.
Yeah.
First responders go. You got a couple cops, firemen, EMTs. When they get there, car's upside down in the water, and it's like pretty decently cold, right? It's not comfortable. Like when you get in, it's like, woof, like this kind of sucks. As they're approaching the vehicle, all of them together hear a voice saying, "We're in here, get us." And so it causes them to move quicker. Remember, the woman died on impact. So when they finally do pry open the vehicle, they notice that the child is suspended in the water. The child's actually alive, right? And recovers. I think she's like 14 years old now. This was a very long time ago.
Okay.
All these officers, EMTs, firemen are telling you on camera in national news they're not crazy, they're not, there's no history of hallucinations. They are all saying they heard absolutely someone say, "We're in here, get us out." And the autopsy shows that the woman died on impact. So what did they hear? Now, people will initially say, well, someone said they heard something. And then because of that, they all say, yeah, we all heard that. They said they all heard it at the same time.
So
sometimes like that.
Of course, I can't deny or accept the account. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the position of these people. And I think both possibilities could be true, like in the sense that, there is something greater. With that said, that doesn't necessarily mean a god or someone intervening in the religious sense. Like, I mean, you could believe in ghosts and a ghost told you it, of course. So I don't necessarily think that's straight religious in a sense, or like it could be spiritual or conscious. Like their three consciousnesses connected and all had that same thought because they wanted to jump to help this person. My belief would be that, I guess from an agnostic, I don't have a belief in that situation.
Yeah, it's just kind of,
But I'm saying the agnostic point of view, if I was trying to rationalize it in the real world, is kind of similar to what you were saying. That one person thought they heard it, person started moving, and when he said, "Hey, did you guys hear that?" And then they all, like your mind tricks you into hearing stuff and stepping in. If one person thought they heard it, then people are going to hear it and they're all going to jump in. And that's similar to the group hallucination thing that I was talking about, where, and I think there's even, I don't remember what the exact study is, but it's like if you hear a word, you're more likely to see that word at multiple places now. Like, than if you were not to hear that word, you just wouldn't see it. Like, you just recognize it a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think there's certain cases that, like, those things go off in your brain, or, like, also the human brain is so, unreliable. Like, I don't think those cops are even lying. I think they truly thought they all heard it at the exact same time. But our brains are so unreliable, that's why you can't trust, like, first eyewitness or secondhand witness or whatever to crimes. Like, you can't tell how tall the person was or what color shirt they were wearing or anything because how unreliable people are.
I mean, like that would, if that's the case, then we couldn't know anything.
Human flaw.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
being tested. Testing stuff multiple times is how you learn what's fact, I guess. Like, you would have to have these cases or it's hard to verify human experience. I will agree with that. Like, I do almost think we don't know anything for a fact.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, even if it's repeated, it could be repeatedly in your mind. You see what I mean? Like, we'd have to like
you and I can experience the same thing when we add 1 + 1, or you and I can experience the same thing looking at something, right? So the human experience is the same.
So you do believe there's a level of structure?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Okay. Yeah, because it sounds like you'd believe that there's a level of structure that can be reliably understood. Like, so it's not that the human mind is naturally unreliable, right?
The human mind isn't naturally unreliable.
Like, naturally speaking, we can come to certain truths, like 1 + 1 is 2. naturally speaking, like normatively speaking, outside of like obviously you have some sort of brain issue.
It's kind of tough in the sense that even that's existent outside of the human realm. That I think numbers exist without humans. I don't know if you'd agree with that in the sense that
Well,
the speed of light exists whether a human exists or not. Correct?
Yeah, I agree with that. But so the thing is, we may disagree on how that can be a reality. In this, we would probably disagree on how is it that 1 + 1 is 2 abstractly, outside of a mind being able to contain it. Obviously, that mind to me would be God. You might say it just exists because it's just there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even necessarily against like the universe being what God is. Like, I mean, like that's how abstract I am about like what God could be, right? I think our conscious could be God. Like all our individual consciousnesses could be God. Like in our and there's funny things. I mean, like of course I haven't like looked into it a ton.
That's fine.
But something that I always thought was an interesting thing with that theory is that if you were to die without repenting, so not forgiving yourself, you would be when your DMT releases when you die, you would be essentially remembering all these horrible things like a hell in a connection. But if you were to repent and forgive you for yourself for doing all these negative things, you will your memories when your DMT releases, your experience will just naturally be blissfulness. And where I think our consciousness exists is outside of like the realm of the universe. Like we can't explain consciousness or how it even exists. It's
the biggest mystery.
Yeah, where I think consciousness itself like it's not working on like the same timeline, I guess, that we are. So when you experience this, it seems like eternity. Like when you're experiencing your life flashing before your eyes, and you're heaven and you're going to see all your loved ones, and that's why when you see people who, I know there's like Christian writers that wrote books about dying and coming back, and why they maybe would have experienced all these good things, and I saw my family and golden gates, and their perception of what a heaven would be like. Again, I'm not 100% sold on that. I just thought that was an interesting, like, fun rabbit hole to go down.
It is, like
an angle to look at.
Yeah. There seems to be across religions and regions, there are consistent patterns that are able to be reliably tracked, for example. So like, a lot of people across regions report seeing like a light at the end of the tunnel. Then when they come back, it's almost like they're being pulled back to their bodies, for example, things like that.
Yeah, I think so we can keep moving. I wanted to ask you 2 more questions.
Sure.
For now. What, if anything, could convince you that Christianity is wrong?
That could, if you found, I mean,
if anything, so it doesn't have to be anything. Yeah,
sure. Jesus's body, for example, if that was found somehow, I don't think we'd even be able to at this point. Let's see. Yeah, if I can find his body. If there was a compelling enough argument against the evidence that we do have. And even
sorry.
And even even if I was somehow convinced that Christianity was, let's say, made up, I would still at the very minimum believe in a theistic God in some capacity, because I do believe it's logically needed. Yeah. Like I don't think we would I don't even think the universe would be comprehensible without a theistic God. I would make that positive argument. I would. So even if Christianity was false, I definitely don't think it's Islam. Don't even get me started. Zoroastrianism I haven't looked too deeply into, but I would at least be a theistic essentialist. That would be my position, which is, it's kind of new, and it's the idea that like God exists by logical necessity. And that's kind of it. They don't have like a dogma or anything like that. They just believe, there is a God. We can't really like.
like that's close to what I think I believe, if that helps. Like I think that's what, or not believe. That's why I would consider believing, is because I think there is a lot, like there's logical things that could lead to a God. Yeah. Now, like, so I'm not like saying, oh, you're dumb for believing in a God. Like, I don't think that.
Yeah, that's like Reddit atheists. Yeah.
Yeah, there's logical reasons to believe in a God, and there's logical reasons not to, is the way I think about it. And I think there's both sides. And for me personally, I just feel like I don't have enough evidence yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give you an olive branch, right? I think you can coherently believe that a God doesn't exist. I just don't think it actually is the case. I don't think that how about this? I don't think it's probable. Is it possible? Yes. Is it even plausible? Is it even something that I would entertain?
Leave that
Probably
for
not.
The end of the podcast.
Oh, okay, fair. My bad.
Ask the viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
A question I just wanted to lead into just the rest of the conversation is, do you believe that the Bible is the Word of God? And like, or do you find it like, you know, some things are interpretations, some things are, I guess, stories are embellished to push a narrative, or do you believe it's like the Word of God? This is, you know, like what happened, what was done, you know, all of that.
The answer is yes, but I have to qualify that. I don't believe that God, you know, sent the King James Bible. Okay, like I don't think it appeared, materialized, No, I do believe it is the Word of God, insofar as God, the one true God that exists in reality, inspired specific people to write. And despite them being fallible people, and they may even actually have their own personal biases written in the text. That might be a controversial take for some Christian.
Kind of a question. Yeah. I was gonna say if there's human flaw or
human... So let exactly, like, so even there may even be errors, human errors, but it doesn't mean that that person is not inspired by the one true God. That is a feature of the human condition. So I may not be the best at articulating science, let's say, right?
But just had Jesus write it, then it would have been perfect.
So like, say for example, a famous scientist, I don't know, Einstein inspires me to write something. It may be flawed, it may be all over the place, but it doesn't mean that he didn't inspire me any less. So that would be my argument. That would be what I would say. I would say yes. This
was a conversation.
That would be my case. How about that?
Stance.
Yeah. So it is the Word of God insofar as it is inspired by the one true God that exists. That is the ultimate creator. He inspired certain people to write, even though they're flawed and may have made certain errors. The message is clear, but not always is it going to be understood properly. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't think it's on God. I think it's on us. So, yeah.
You said, do you think the message is clear?
Yeah, like the message of what it's trying to convey is clear. You know, salvation in Christ. There's one God. Things like that. I
kind of wish that, I know we were talking about politics a little bit, and I think we both agree on this.
Okay.
Is that you wish that the politicians would push what the Bible pushes a lot more, rather than what it barely pushes or almost does not push at all. And from my understanding of the Bible, correct me if I'm wrong, because I personally have not read it all. Okay. I will be completely honest. Have you read it all? I guess I was just...
I'm still in the process of going through it, but I can confidently say I've read the major portions. Yes.
For sure.
Okay.
And I've researched stuff specifically that I had questions on, or things that I'm looking into, but my understanding is that Jesus actually condemned greed infinitely more times than almost any other sin in the Bible.
Yeah.
And when you look at, you know, the politics and everything today, you this was just more of a basic point that you wish that they would focus on, you know, all these people that are being so greedy and horrible people, and then using God as almost like a shield to acquire all the wealth. And
you almost see the opposite happening. Like people are more people are more willing to exhort the politicians and the greedy people and condemn, let's say, you know, someone who's a prostitute or someone who's in jail.
People who are trying to survive even through sin.
Yeah,
I mean, but
exactly. Even through their issues. Yeah. It's almost like humanity hasn't changed much.
And those were also the people Jesus was closest to, were the people that were, you know, like the small sinners, not, but the people who were greedy. I think there's like some type of quote, I'm not going to quote it right by any means, but that the more wealth you acquire, the further you are from God.
Yeah. He said it would be harder for the eye of for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And that is timeless wisdom, because you got to think about what it takes to reach that level of wealth. Yeah.
So I was just going off your points that it stinks that like, cause you said that the Bible structure or like that it's pretty clear
in terms of the message.
So I was kind of going along with that message that, you know, I feel like people don't really live up to.
The New Testament says that greed is idolatry. So when you are greedy, you're basically like a Satanist. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, I'll let you ask me some questions. So you're just not.
Sure, yeah, we can go off that. So you said earlier in the intro, it sounds like you have a heart for obviously humanity, right? You want people to be happy, like the gay marriage thing, right? I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming it went something along the lines of like, why are all these Christians stopping gay people from being married? Y'all are weird. What's the issue? You know what I mean? They should be happy. It should be legal. Why are we tripping? TLDR.
So I want to start by saying that's not the reason I don't believe.
Okay, but how about this?
Like, I understand Christians are flawed. Like, I do understand that. Like,
I would say, did it put a nail in the coffin though? Like one big nail, maybe.
It was the start of like looking into things. Okay. And there was a lot of fights with family. I remember after like that specific sermon where he was talking about gay marriage, like almost talking about this is why we need to vote to stop this stuff from getting passed, like in church. And then I remember walking out and my parents being like, wasn't that such a great sermon, guys? And me being like, you know, like in my heart of heart, I hated it.
Yeah.
And my parents, I don't want to say anything too far on YouTube. They, you know, like I say I don't want to talk about it. That's all I say, because I don't want to start a fight. Like, I know
it sounded more like would you say that it sounded more like a political campaign than worship?
Yes, 100%. And especially going to a Southern Baptist church, you know, get that way. But so then when I say I don't want to talk about it, my parents push. I say I don't want to talk about it because it's just going to make you mad. They push. No, we can talk about it. So I talk about it. I talk about all the things that I hated, why I think it's bad in general, and almost like the hypocrisy of them being sinners themselves, and, you know, but pinpointing this thing as so bad. And, you know, like things got more physical. My brother kind of having my back, mostly against my dad, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think Christianity led to a lot of animosity in a way towards family, or just like also just not wanting to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
And like I just strayed away for a while. I mean, I was in college and stuff, and then I would say more recently, you know, like just I started getting really into philosophy, and that kind of opened my mind up to theology. Okay. And just more kind of like what you were saying, in the sense that like I just want to learn about it all.
Yeah.
And I want to, like, the theology side, the Christian side, the philosophical side, and something that really started me was Marcus Aurelius has a quote.
Okay.
I would love your opinion on this, because I guess I can kind of bounce it back to you.
Sure.
Sorry, let me look it up quick, because I have a picture of it on my phone.
It was like it's like a Roman ruler or something, right? Roman guy, Greek guy.
He was, so he was a Greek. He was a Greek king. or Caesar, I guess. So he said, "Live a good life. If there are gods and they are just, then they will not care how devout you have been, but will welcome you based on the virtues you have lived by. If there are gods but unjust, then you should not want to worship them. If there are no gods, then you will be gone, but will have lived a noble life that will live on the memories of your loved ones." So that really sparked. He's the father of or the kind of like the starter of Stoicism. Is kind of what he's known for. But that kind of sparked my kind of what I believe right now. If you want, or I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
So
and then I have a follow-up question.
Sure. As a Christian, well, I'll take him in his context, right? In his context, there was a plethora of gods, right? You got,
I think this was right around the time that Christianity was spreading.
Okay. So you got.
Could be wrong though.
I could be wrong. Like you've got the same type of people like Euthyphro, right? The Euthyphro dilemma, where he says, are things good because the gods say they're good, or are they just good on their own, right? So I think within his framework and his understanding, that there's these plethora of gods and we're kind of like at their mercy. They're a little unpredictable, right? Zeus is known to be a little egotistical, and all the other gods very like inconsistent. Under his framework, it's the only option you have, right? All you can do under that worldview is the best you can, and you're kind of at the mercy of whatever's in reality. Like he said, if they're bad, they're bad.
King, so he was like in charge. Like it wasn't like he was a peasant that had to, go whatever the ruler says. He also was a person that gave away a lot of his wealth, and that's what Stoicism kind of portrays, like what he did. He also journaled about how he could improve himself, like every day was a big thing. So like his journals are really popular about self-improvement and always being better. So if you were to get in an argument, he would write what he did right, what he did wrong, and what he could do better for next time.
Yeah.
So he was a person that was always trying to improve himself, even when I would argue that he didn't need to. Philosophers would say he had the time to, which is a privilege in its own right.
It is. It is.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So like, within that idea, I would say it's pretty solid. Yeah. Like knowing what you can know in that. That's what I would do, right? Like if I believed in these plethora
I guess in my context, as someone who I feel like that's kind of where I am at.
Okay.
I think a just God does not seek to be worshipped. Like he doesn't need to, not necessarily seek. He could seek to be worshipped. I don't think he needs to be worshipped for him to accept you.
Okay.
And I feel like if he is needed to be worshipped, then he's not worth worshiping, because that is not a just God. Like it's not a God being fair. It's a God with power over you.
Yeah, that would be like
implementing that control.
Yeah, that would be like a Muslim framework. So
what I'm saying is, regardless of what the case is, whether there is a God that's just and loves everyone and accepts everyone, regardless whether they worshipped him or not, I believe that the most important thing is living a good life, because it's the right answer regardless of the, I guess, overarching debate.
Yeah. I mean, look, from our framework, you're right. God sent his son not to be worshipped, but to save the world. So obviously, it was a selfless act, and it wasn't a glorious act, right? It wasn't something that was pretty. In fact, a lot of the early Greco polemists thought it was ridiculous. They were like, the God, so-called creator of the universe, went on some woman and this guy died. Like, that's stupid, right? They thought it was ridiculous. And it was to demonstrate his love. So we'd actually agree. Like, he doesn't need to be worshipped or desire to be worshipped, we would say he desires relationship like a father would desire a relationship with a son.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
That's kind of in those veins. Let me
just
find it here in my notes.
Take it down. Take it down.
Why
does God sacrifice himself to God?
I actually don't know if it's even in my notes. I might just have it from my personal notes, but I don't know if it transcribed it. But essentially, do you believe somebody can have a relationship with God and be accepted without believing in him? Is the general question.
You mean believing in the Christian God specifically, or believing just in any context?
Let's say you don't believe in any God.
Okay.
Like let's say you're agnostic or atheist in the sense that you're not like false. You're not worshiping false idols.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to be a good person in your life, and even like I know Christians will talk about, oh, this is where morality comes from. What is your morals framework? I know we were talking about that a little bit.
The other
day.
Yeah.
But let's say you were living aligned to what a Christian God would want. You just didn't believe in God. Do you think that person will be accepted into heaven, or should be? God?
Yeah. So this is what I'll say. This is this intentional or out of ignorance? This is why there's a reason why I'm asking these questions.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
like a person who doesn't want to be with God, regardless of the God.
Yeah, because that's
my understanding is similar to what I'm saying. Is I'm an agnostic. I'm a person that I am even researching. I'm looking into it. And I'm just trying to live my best life without the knowledge. And I guess, and I'll have a
okay. I got you. So if it's someone who, for no fault of their own, just doesn't see it, then I think I can argue even biblically, pretty effectively, that God would understand that. Yeah. Obviously, I'm saying.
Sorry.
I'm saying, I think I could biblically defend that, and I think I can logically defend that. Logically, it wouldn't be hard at all. But biblically, it's going to be a little more difficult because you're going to have different traditions, and certain traditions are very dogmatic in that Jesus is the only way to the salvation. And the thing is, I believe in that, but how that mechanically is going to play out in the end is what I'm invoking here. So, for example, there are some people like, okay, you know about the gospel. You were a Christian. You know what we preach. Okay.
Well, so if I was raised that you had to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and actually believe that by the time of your death.
Okay. Well, I believe that, but I'm going to open a lot here. There's going to be a lot this is a lot of theology here that you probably didn't get. So, So if you point a shotgun to someone's head and you say, believe in Jesus now, like, is that really the gospel? You see what I'm saying? I think there's an argument that can be made that some people truly didn't actually get the gospel, right? Or they didn't.
People, but
I would agree. Yeah, I think most people got a forced, perverse, inconsistent, et cetera, right? Church hurt leads people out of it.
Sorry. Along these same lines, before you continue, what, in your opinion, what percentage of claimed Christians do you think have read the Bible? Like actually read the Bible, I guess.
Dude, I go to two churches. It's a concerning amount that have not. There's there's Christians that don't even really know the gospel. I've had a Christian.
There's more Christians that have not read the Bible than ones that have.
Yeah, no, a lot of them don't. Yeah. Wait, what happened? Oh, my wife's like laughing with it. What?
Yes, that's in the Bible.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna tell him. Yeah, so we had a Bible study and this person was like, yeah, the gospel is just literally like you. I was like, even that's wrong.
Kind of like my mind thing is.
Yeah. I was like, bro. To go back though.
The modern day gospel, we don't know.
It unfortunately is. Eventually. Yeah. So what I'm saying is this. So in Revelation 1, Christ says that he has the keys to death and Hades, meaning he's the one who's going to throw you in, and he's the only one that can take you out. So the point is, I think everyone's going to eventually see Jesus. And they'll be able to make a choice. That's my TLDR without getting too crazy.
So you don't think anyone will spend eternity in Hades or hell? Or
what I'm saying is there may
purgatory?
be, but I'm saying I do believe everyone will face Christ. I do genuinely believe that. And now that could be really bad news. That could be really good news. It could be an opportunity to really understand. You get where I'm going with this?
Even Judas? No.
Well, that's a good one. So there's a lot of debate about Judas actually.
Yeah, no.
I would.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
You don't have the answer. I was
No, I mean, yeah, I know, but
there's a possibility.
Yeah, anything's possible. I'll say this: if he did get thrown in, it's because he faced Jesus and he did not get let in. That's my argument. So, everybody in the entire world is going to the afterlife in the Christian framework, and everyone in the entire world is going to face Christ. Is my opinion, in this life or the next. So, I think it's a little. Yeah, go ahead.
I see. I would be more apt to believe something like that, just in
Yeah.
a theological or philosophical sense, like moral sense, moral understanding. You know, like a morally good God would do that.
Yeah,
Like
I'll give
think eternal punishment for a finite crime. You know, like seems unjust to me from a. Sorry, I'm getting a phone. From a ever powerful, all good God, I guess.
Because it removes his all mercifulness too. You need to have it all in there. So, I don't think.
Well, why would it stop at death? Like, there's no
exactly. Like, I'll give you
reason for that.
I'll give you one more biblical example. So Jonah, the prophet Jonah, he says that he called out to God from Sheol. Now, Sheol at the time was considered the afterlife. That would be what Hades is during the Greco-Roman era. Notice the semantic switch. The word means the same thing, but it's translated differently. So Hades, Sheol, same thing. He's saying he was able to call out to God from there. So I don't buy this, and a lot of Christians don't like me for saying this, but we can get into that if you want. I don't like this notion that okay, you're dead, you're cooked, and that's it, and you had that. I think that's very shallow, and I think it's a very narrow view of what the afterlife actually is. Because even Jesus talked about it. He talked about Abraham's bosom. He talked about there's a place in the afterlife in which righteous people go. Now, if you're going to go there and you're going to meet Jesus because he has the keys, then I'm going outside of scripture here, but then we use our logic, and what can we logically conclude, right? If you're let's say you see Jesus and you're like, dude, now's my chance. Like, can you explain all this for me? And then he explains it to you. Then you have a choice.
Or you're going to be pleading, right? Or you're going to be pleading.
Well, I imagine it would be a conversation. If you genuinely don't know, wouldn't you want to know there? If you genuinely are confused, if you're not understanding, if you're like, look, I just don't get it.
Of course, I've thought about if I were to believe in the Christian God, I think you believe in the Christian God that I would want to believe in over what I think, what I was explaining, that what I think traditional Christianity teaches, in the sense that's someone on their deathbed, you better say I believe in Jesus and believe it right before you die.
I mean, look, everything I'm telling you, you haven't read the Bible, but everything I've told you,
I've read it.
It's there, and there are certain Christian traditions that hold to what I'm saying. So I think, not to go too deep into it, but I would say I think the American church as a whole has gotten complacent, and people are looking for roots, right? I don't want to speak for you,
I don't
but
necessarily just even think the American church. Even look at Rome way back in the day. I feel like it was all about control. I know it was why religions were created. Yeah. But at least when it got indoctrinated into Rome, it was 100% control.
Yeah, it's like a different form now. So at that time, it was purely about control, and you don't get to think about, what the gospel actually is.
See, I know you said different form.
Yeah, now it's we just got kind of got lazy. And we just expect everyone to just kind of go to church, and you believe in Jesus and that's it. You don't need theology. You don't need roots. You don't need history. You don't need none of that.
Okay, so from a personal experience, I think control is still a heavy part of it. in the sense that, I mean, you grew up in a Catholic, that the Pope still tries to impose a lot of things onto the Catholic faith, like something specific for that me and my wife even, because my wife is Catholic, still Catholic.
Okay.
But so we had to go through surrogacy to have our baby, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Which the
big
Pope
no for them.
spoke out against surrogacy worldwide, not just like our little nation. Spoke out again and wanted it banned worldwide. And of course, little things like contraception. You know, my wife literally cannot get pregnant. Like if she were, there's a high likelihood that she would, die or need a new transplant.
Yeah,
and even like the transplant itself, often is like playing God to them, in the sense that they think, oh, if God willed it to happen, it should just happen. And that's what they think of pregnancy, even if it would kill her or, or make it so she... So I think there still is a lot of that control, even if you don't see it like directly, like, oh, they're puppeteering the politicians, even though I think that could also happen.
Yeah, they, I believe what they would tell you is if you can't use contraceptive for whatever reason, because I know the church is like pretty firm on that, they'll literally try to tell you that you just need to be abstinent.
Natural planning.
Yeah.
Or natural planning
or natural planning or be abstinent. Yeah, all right.
Well, I remember doing a marriage class at a Catholic church, and they were saying they're teaching people how to natural plan, and they said, don't force your wife to use contraception just because you want to sleep with them all the time. And I'm like, what do you want to do? And asked my wife, and she's like,
that's
I can't, I have to use it. Like, I'm like, I don't care what you do. Like, if I'm abstinent or whatever, like whatever.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why the Protestant Reformation happened. There's a reason why there was a point in history where they said enough is enough. We need to actually go back to what the Bible actually teaches, because that is the word of God. That is authoritative. And these things changed. And unfortunately, while the Catholic Church has gotten better in some senses, they're kind of in this weird loop where they kind of have to stick to what they said is dogma. And I don't know if it's reconcilable, but yeah, there's a reason why I'm not Catholic, brother.
Yeah, and traditional. They're very much traditional.
Yeah, like, and it's kind of like what my wife was showing me earlier when I was looking off screen, and she put it in chat. Like, that's more religiosity, right? This whole like formality of things, and you got to listen to these people because they're quote unquote appointed by God, and they have succession, and they're an authority over you, and their word is gospel. Like, that doesn't even logically follow. You know what I mean? Like, the authority is the creator. If that creator actually interacts with us, we listen to him, not you. That's just logic. And so, anyway, I don't want to get too far.
I think that was just more connected to the... you said America was getting far, and I said, well, I'm saying, like, Europe, they still control. Yeah,
for sure. Like, the Catholic Church's influence is absolutely insane. Like, you can't,
2.4 million or 2.4 billion Catholics. Like, dude, of course you're gonna influence the world.
Yeah, dude. Like, let me tell you something, man. I am in Philly, right?
Well,
Joe Biden.
A lot of bad people. That's what I love too.
Yeah. That too. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll talk about that off stream actually, because I got some funny story about that. But so Joe Biden came to Philly. The city was fine. It didn't get shut down. When the Pope came to Philly, brother, the whole city was shut down. They had every government agency and their mamas out here, all competing for security. Kill orders. Okay. What? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that is
more protection than the president. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Like, this is a very, very, very powerful position. And I think when you read the church history, you start to see that, and you start to see how it gets corrupt. But in terms of like the way it is in America, I'm saying it's not in an imposing sense. It's more like a lot of people are getting complacent, and they got comfortable with just believe in Jesus and move on. rather than like really thoroughly explaining why we're here and what we believe in. And that's what I meant when I say like it's different. Like back then it was more like you're ignorant because they won't tell you because they want you to be under control. Now it's not that they want to control you, it's just we just kind of like stopped caring. And I don't like that, you know. Yeah, we just kind of like whatever. We're just told to believe things and move on.
For sure. To bounce back a little bit to what we were talking about before that, was that you said that you think everyone will see Jesus and kind of make that decision in the afterlife as well.
I think there's going to come a point. Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask is, because I know you were saying like, well, if someone's like, are they purposefully ignorant or
just struggling?
Or just struggling and stuff like that. Yeah. And a question I had was, someone like me who, and I'm not saying it won't ever happen, it could happen. Why do you think someone like God, or people like me in general, not just me, but why would God not give me sufficient evidence when I am looking for it? When he knows what the sufficient evidence is for me to be a believer? I guess I don't know if you have, and like not just me, but anyone like me who is searching or wants that to be the case. Why would it, like, God knows what it would take to get me to believe and refuses to give me that proof, I guess.
Yeah, these questions, I like them because obviously they get into hypotheticals, but that's exactly what it is. It's a hypothetical because the reason why I would say it's not hypothetical, it's speculative, because I don't know the mind of God. I don't know what he has planned for you, so I can't say like I know why he hasn't.
That's why I wanted to say is even though it hasn't happened yet, it could happen.
It could happen, exactly, or it may not. Right?
It hasn't happened. Yes,
that's what I mean.
Like
so it's
many people feel that.
Yeah, it's so all I can give you is speculation. I can't give you the exact why. That's why, like, obviously I'm talking to you, but this is when I start saying like that's a very dumb question, but I understand you mean well. So I would say, look, if you think
it's a dumb question, I'd love to hear it.
No.
It's like
it's baked with the presupposition that any of us will ever know the why. We don't know the why, but we can speculate, right? So I'll give you an example. There's some people who need to go through a certain phase before it happens, right? And then as it happens, and this is what I'm saying, like, this is why I take the max data approach. When you listen to a lot of testimonies from Christians, a lot of them will say like, I probably wouldn't have even accepted him even if he showed up in front of me anyway, because I was so rebellious. I was so angry. I wasn't really seeking him. Or the way that they think they'll come to God actually isn't going to be that way, right? So they think like, hey, he'll appear before me and I'll believe in him. And it's like, it's going to be a different way that he has for you. So I think to answer that question, I would say, number one, it's hard. It's speculative at best. And there's also a baked in presupposition that you haven't already been given sufficient evidence.
But that argument would be that he knows what would be sufficient, and I would be a believer if that were sufficient. I guess you saying if I were given sufficient, I would be a believer, correct? As far as he has the knowledge that would make me a believer.
Well, you could just be in denial. That's what I'm saying. It could be like, okay, so let me...
This goes back to what you were saying, is that there's so many accounts of this being the case, so many people wanting to believe, that I think you're just saying all of them are in denial.
Could be.
I'm saying some could be. I will agree with you on that, and I could be. But I'm saying the general mass that are in my position or similar positions, I wouldn't say if there's one that isn't, just even one, why wouldn't God show them sufficient evidence to believe?
I think there's a very good reason. I just don't know it.
Yeah,
so, for example, like, for example, like God's playing, like, he's playing Grandmaster Chess.
God's playing.
I mean, to put it like simply, right? Like the song. But yes, even the person who is stuck has a purpose in life. And there's a reason why he is. Like, okay, let me give you a famous example. Alex O'Connor, right? You ever heard of him? Very famous agnostic. Okay, perfect. He has been able to speak to some of the greatest minds. He is one of the greatest examples. there's some things he does that annoys me, but what he has single-handedly been able to accomplish for both Christianity and his sect is unprecedented. Yeah,
bridge the gap.
exactly. He's been talking to some of the greatest minds of Christianity, and he has opened up doors for a lot of people.
He's a strong person that I listen to for sure, but it also caused me to branch out to a lot of these Christian people that he talked to.
Exactly.
And get their views. And like you said, I mean, of course, some of these Christian speakers, like William Lane Craig or something, also somewhat annoy me at times. But definitely, or like how many
he says some crazy stuff. Yeah,
they have some answers like yours where it feels like, well, how should we know what God thinks? It's like, well, we're basing it off of what you think a just God would do. We're not saying like we're just saying from a logical standpoint, which I get that we can't understand a being outside of our realm, like our understanding. He's not working on the same field, but like we're the literal image of God.
Yeah.
Yet we can't interpret what we see as good and bad, or I guess like or acceptable or not acceptable. What would you expect from a morally just God? And I think that's what.
Yeah, and that's when we're still like speculating, only because his mind is unique. It's not even like a form of special planning. It's baked
Maybe
within the
our mind, so.
it's baked within the framework. So like what I'm getting at. What I'm trying to land to is that yes, even Alex O'Connor has a purpose for what he's doing, whether he likes it or not, under our belief system. So his agnosticism is benefiting God for the greater good, whether he realizes it or not. And that would include people who right now, hey, they haven't gotten to that point. You're playing a role. What that is exactly, how it's going to end for you.
I never get to that point. Like, would you say it's everyone who doesn't get to that point is just being ignorant or like
I don't know,
oblivious to the signs? Do you think he has given everyone sufficient evidence?
There's a lot.
Is there maybe even one person that did not get sufficient evidence? And I think this holds less weight now that at least your viewpoint of life not being the end all be all.
You're not just your body.
But I think and I think you would agree that a lot of Christians do believe, 2.4 billion Catholics, or let's even say 1 point something billion of them think that the life is the end all be all. That I think I spaced off.
That like once you pass away, your chance is done. So whatever decision you made, it's
greater weight that if you say one person didn't get sufficient evidence and didn't make it, that eternity of damnation seems not fair, and that a just God would not do that.
Okay, so let me try to steelman their position, because I talk to them a lot. So let me try to present the best case for why they say what they say, and it may not click, but it'll at least be coherent. So let me try to
sorry, one question before you start is, do you believe that one person could not go to heaven who didn't get sufficient evidence? Like, do you think there's one person that does not make it to heaven due to not getting sufficient evidence? Or do you think God shows sufficient evidence to all humans, I guess?
I think well, so when you say sufficient evidence, you're meaning convincing evidence, right? Because
it would make me a believer, yes.
Yes.
Not convincing, it would make me a believer, yes.
Yeah, because I believe
it's the difference between I'm a non-believer. Sufficient makes me a believer.
Yeah, it's convincing.
It gets me into heaven. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Convincing sounds like, it's pushing me towards there. Like, sufficient means it pushes me to the other side.
Okay, I understand. That's how you would define it. Okay. Because to me, okay,
convincing just felt like it could just be a nudge in the right direction.
Yeah. Then my answer would be no one who's convinced, or no one who is not convinced of God, for whatever reason that may be, will be at some point. and they will.
So yeah, so you're with your belief in the afterlife.
But the thing is, even if there are people out there who will be convinced that Christ is real, but they still don't want to be with him.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I've definitely seen those.
Yeah,
like you're mentioning Alex O'Connor having conversations with people that are that way, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying him. I'm saying like
he's had conversations with people, not him specifically.
Yeah.
But he's had conversations with people that said like, yeah, if this God did exist, I wouldn't even want to be with him.
I wouldn't even want to be with him. Yeah. And I think a just God would oblige that person. I think a just God would say, why would that would be spiritual violation.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like, I think, yeah, of course, in the afterlife, if you're like, no, I still want to be alone in my hole,
then yeah.
And I think a lot of people explain hell as actually just the absence of God, or, whether that's just the absence of good, which is, possibly nothingness, or whatever your understanding of hell is. So if that person still does not want to be, but like, that's why I do like your viewpoint in the sense.
Yeah. I don't think it would be logical, but I do think it's possible, because what you're doing is you're cutting yourself from the source of existence itself. That is the definition of not logical.
Connor calls it a non-resistant non-believer.
Non-believer, yeah. And I have
something like that exists.
I take issue with his approach specifically because I watched his video where he says, I did this and I did that and I went to school and I prayed, and he never came because there's a presupposition baked in there, and that's that God conforms to what we desire, and he fails to acknowledge that
sorry, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
There's a baked in presupposition that he expects God to answer him the way that he wants him to answer him. There could be, I'm not saying that there is, I could be wrong, but there could be a very justifiable good reason as to why God did not answer. One of them could be, Alex, you're like, respectfully, one of the most privileged people to even be able to do all that. Some people believe in God just by looking outside. Some people believe in God. He got to hear all the arguments. That's what I'm saying. Some people may see the Virgin Mary on their toast and they believe in God. Okay. Like there's goofy reasons, but he has been able to speak to some of the greatest minds in the world who can really coherently, better than me, give some of the best arguments for God existence.
Yeah.
You may not need to see God. You've heard it literally all. I don't know. This is speculative. You see what I'm saying? But this idea that God isn't an AI, he's a person, right? You don't get to just come up to, I can't come up to you and just say, talk to me, Cameron. No, you may be there may be a plan that you're working on that you can't talk to me right now. So he is a person.
My only rebuttal is that you said he's not going to work for what Alex O'Connor wants. Was the point you said.
Right.
Because God might have his own reasoning, or might be doing something else working in the background.
Yeah, well, I would say let me make sure, so you actually, you know what I mean, like hit the. There could be a perfectly justifiable reason as to why he didn't answer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which is a little vague.
Okay. Like, I can clarify if you want.
Sorry, because I mean, just in the sense. It's an answer that doesn't necessarily directly answer it, but
okay.
But let me ask my question.
Okay.
Was that, what is God's intention with Alex O'Connor? Like, what is his end goal?
I mean,
anyone like Alex O'Connor, right? Like,
I can
like me, like anyone else. Sorry.
Speculatively speaking, Alex O'Connor is being used by God because he's bridging the gap that no other modern, you know what I mean? So just...
Well, sorry. Yeah. So he's using Alex O'Connor. Sorry. I mean,
absolutely.
What is God's intention with any of his children? What is his final end goal with his children?
Okay, so the end goal is a true...
Or God.
Yeah, I got you. A true, consensual, willing relationship with his creation at their, concession, at their... what should I say? Willful decision. So he wants relationship with his creation, but he's going to do it differently for each person because each person is different.
Yeah. So I guess my own point with that is that you said God's not going to work in Alex's framework or when he wants it. And if God's end goal and I'm not saying was to get Alex O'Connor as a willing participant in this relationship. Like, so you would think he would at least at some point give him sufficient evidence to make that a thing, right? Or like, do you think he could have more people, like if he gave Alex O'Connor sufficient evidence, he could do just as much good, or if not more good? Which I get that we can't necessarily explain. Sorry, so I don't even want to get into that because we can't even.
Oh, you're good.
We can't comprehend whether that would be true or not.
We would have to
can't speculate.
We would
speculate whether he would do more or less.
All right. I mean, we would have to grant that Alex is being genuinely sincere. That he at no point was convinced.
We're using Alex O'Connor.
Yeah.
I'm saying one person out there. There's one person out there who's like, please God, just please prove yourself to me prove yourself in the sense that like, get me over that ledge. You don't have to show yourself. You don't, this is you know what it will take for me to believe right now. Like, that. And that's all I want to see. And do you think there's one person out there that God did not answer that to?
No, he will answer them eventually. Because I think so that disposition is much different than someone who's like, even if you're real, I don't want to be with you.
Okay, so this is all theoretical because I don't want to get into now, if someone, I'm not even going to connect a name to it.
Sure.
God was waiting to reveal himself to someone.
Okay.
And I went and shot them today. And stole that opportunity for them to get that connection with God.
Okay.
So God never presented himself to this, non-believer. And do you believe, I guess your interpretation is more fair in the sense that I'm sure you're going to say that God, like a just God would evaluate that and understand that this, person would have came to him or something. Yeah, like you can't. I think in the general sense, Christians would not say that. But
but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think I gotta maybe put on that hat and explain to you their framework. Yeah, because obviously, like, I'm gonna say, number one, you can't outsmart God. If God wants relation,
an outsmart. I have free will.
It's a tragedy. Yeah,
I could take that free will from someone else. Sorry.
Yeah, it would be like a tragedy. But the thing is an omnibenevolent, a being with the omni properties. If he wants relationship with someone, he's gonna get it, whether you kill them or not. Doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? It's irrelevant. Like, whenever they die, if he wants that person, if that person is to be in relationship with him, he'll get it in this life or the next. That would be my answer. Now, if I'm gonna use go ahead. If I'm going to use like the traditional framework where like, hey, this life is your only chance. Once you die, judgment, right? That is in the Bible, by the way. Death and then judgment, and then it is what it is, right? The thing is, the argument would be this: that disposition that you said, meaning that attitude that you're genuinely with all your heart of hearts is seeking God, God would consider that. Yeah. So even in the framework of like,
from modern Christian, I get people also say it for like babies who pass away. Or people who never got the chance to hear of God in the sense that like you're in a tribe that is disconnected from the rest of the world.
Yeah, and this is why theology is important, because look, propositions don't save you. Jesus saves you. And Jesus is alive right now. So in other words, you accepting something doesn't mean that that's what gets you in the pearly gates. God himself has to do it. You get what I'm saying? So your acceptance is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you think, right? If he wants you, he'll have you. And so like your confession is important. It's how you express your love. It's the gospel, but that is not what joins you. It's the ontological being itself that joins you. You get what I'm saying? So just because you accept a sentence,
more than you think.
Yeah,
if I were to believe in a God existing.
Yeah. Like accepting this sentence isn't what gets you in. The God himself.
A framework that makes me think that's what just God would do, right?
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah, it's like he doesn't care what you think you accept or you don't accept. It's him himself. So, and even but just so you know, even the most hardcore of the traditional Christians who are scholars would agree with what I'm saying, though. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Whether hell's eternal and you're dead and you're cooked, it doesn't matter. God is the one who's determining where you're going.
Yeah.
They all agree with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, like, as far as like the tribe that is on an island somewhere, like I think that one under India, and there was a person, like a ministry person, that tried to spread the word of God to them, do you think it would be better to leave them because they would make it to heaven, essentially, if they were not to learn about God?
Yeah, like,
but you are basically like damning half of the, if not half or more, to hell if you do tell them and they don't believe.
Yeah, there's a lot about that, because the thing is, from what I heard, a missionary tried to go over there and they killed him, right?
So him. Yeah.
So
saying, like, wouldn't it almost be better that they didn't know? Yeah, they're cannibals and stuff, but like, would God judge them? Like, of course he's not going to judge them in the same way that he would judge us.
No, but biblically speaking, they should know better. But however, let's work with that for a second. Yeah. So let's settle there for a second. Not necessarily it would be better for them, because what's happening is, number one, they are lacking something, right? So you ever heard the phrase, like, it could be worse? Well, we used to always joke back, no, it could be better. It could be better. And so they're being in persistent lack of relationship with God is actually hurting them. It's not benefiting them. Number one. Number two,
I think in the finite sense, but not in the eternal sense.
Well, so we, both sides, me and the traditionalists, let's just use that word for this conversation, we would both agree that you need Christ for salvation. And their active ignorance of who that Christ is, it may not help them, right? Because if they're consistently living in this sin, God knows if they are communicating with deities, God knows what is going through their minds. The more we leave them in ignorance and festering in sin, because sin to us is like a poison, it's like an infection, and infections only get worse. It may lead them to a point where they really won't even be able to acknowledge Christ when he sees them, in the sense of they really liked what they were doing. You get what I'm trying to say? So I would be
saying,
yeah, like, so
but I guess as far as the modern, like, what is happening right now, are they to blame, I guess?
Yes and no. So I would say they're victims of themselves and that they don't know better, but we are commanded to correct that. We are, because we're obligated to the Creator, and they are too. We are and they are. So it's incumbent on us and it's incumbent on them to listen, and them continuously rebelling is only hurting them and their generations. So I'm very careful. How about this? It goes both ways, right? They can't mock God. I can't mock God. God told me to go talk to them, right? To the best of my ability, obviously. Like, obviously that's not for everyone, right? But as a collective, it absolutely is our responsibility. But I wouldn't use my and the word here is eschatology. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Eschatology is just like end times view. So I wouldn't let my end times view stop me from going to go talk to them. It needs to happen like yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Get into relationship with God now, understand his ways, and know that your ways are wrong. Stop eating each other. You're made in each other's image, for example, right? Think about how, how damaging that is to your psyche. And you basically at that point are like a demon, dude. You hate humans and you just want to eat them. Like, that's not good for no one. And I can't imagine what that would look like.
Like, I think you made some good points.
Yeah.
I guess in a similar sense, the problem of like religious geography, like, that you're just likely to be, like, you're going to be raised Hindu if you're in India, like, you're going to be raised Muslim if you're in like the Middle East, and the amount that like considers where someone's going to, or what people are going to believe in. And I guess in a Christian sense, is it just a bunch of white people? And like, I mean, like literally though, I mean, you know, how many people if you look at percentages wise, Christians that believe in Chinese people that believe in Christianity are like 16%, let's say. You know, that might even be a little high.
Yeah.
But that means billions of people, and like if we include India,
dictatorship, they're not really allowed to.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. Just my
Right.
wife's listening. Anyway, yeah.
Get her
I
on
was
the
gonna.
pod.
Yeah,
Get her
right.
on the call.
Yeah, she's listening. Look, no, yeah, she's
I
like,
guess like, and if we include India, we're talking about half the planet.
yeah.
Essentially being condemned to hell.
Yeah, so.
And sorry, and then also like, yeah, it's just a bunch of white people in heaven.
All right, so yeah, let me take the let me give you both. Let me give you both again. So, let's start with the hard pill to swallow that some Christians hold to. It's that they would say yes, they still go because they did still sin against the one true God. They're still rebellious.
And are they also, I guess, if they're religious at all, aren't they doing the one unforgivable sin?
There would be arguments on whether or not they're doing it willing or unwillingly. I would shy personally. If you're asking me personally, obviously I'm gonna give you a different answer. It's gonna be a little more fleshed out, but I'm trying to speak for the.
I think I can see your viewpoints.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you very much so.
Yeah,
In the general Christian, and that's why I think I was when I was butting heads with you on your stream, it was more the general belief of Christianity.
Yeah. I think,
and of course, like not like eternal chance at, or you know, like and understanding God. That's not like the traditional.
Yeah, because the thing is, and the Bible also talks about this, and that those who are in charge are the ones who are going to be held responsible. So, for example, like a lot of the times in these nations that you're talking about, the reason why these people don't get even the chance to, remember I was telling you earlier, there are certain places you don't even get a chance to consider it. Right. Yeah. And I deal with it. Like sometimes I'm in Discord servers and I'll have Muslims come in. And exactly. Like that is their God. Right. So is God really going to exactly
punish over them?
Exactly.
Like that.
So that's what I mean. Like I'll talk to some people and they'll say, look, like I can't publicly confess Christ. I can only talk about it privately with you in my home. If I go outside, I'll get killed for this. I can't hold, you know, I think there's grace there. Now, what some Christians will hold to is they'll say, no, they still go because they still committed sin, and we can't say God is unjust for punishing them for their sin. However, I think that lacks nuance, personally. I think that you need to understand that there are genuine victims, right? Like because of sin, there are people who genuinely are being oppressed and they don't know better and they never had the opportunity to know better. So I think when people say, well, they go to hell, that is so presumptuous. It's almost like, how do you really know what happened there?
Wait. And I agree with you that this is like, we can tell who can go to hell, but we can't tell you who goes to heaven. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like people are okay saying, you know, like we can tell you who will go to heaven, or no, we'll be able to tell you who will go to hell, but we can't understand why someone would accept someone to heaven, but we know why you're going to hell. Like, it does feel like that.
It's presumptuous. Very, like Jesus does say, you'll know them by their fruits. So I think at times it can be painfully obvious, but in those scenarios you're bringing up, I think we need to tread carefully. I think we need to be very careful and understand, like you said, like there, you got North Korea, you got certain Muslim countries where they really are being held back, you know?
Well, and I think a question comes too, like if, like many of these countries, like if you're in China, I'm sure majority of people have heard of Christianity. Right?
Yeah, like, it's usually underground though, but yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know, do they have the idea of Christianity, like, or what it is? Like,
not perfectly. So
it a ton.
Like China's weird. Yeah, like they're in a weird situation because they're very much under secure. They're under scrutiny, and they're being observed constantly. So they can't I guess they can't really get the true message.
I guess it's not like my further question though. Is that, do you think, like, let's say it's not even like, it's hard to explain. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, you're in a country like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a free country. Like, let's say it's South Africa
Like Sweden
or something. And
yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, like maybe Christianity's not the primary
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah.
Which in South Africa it might be. I might just be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just trying to find a random example. Let's say
Yeah.
a country that Christianity is not the primary religion,
Mhm.
and you were raised into a different religion your entire life, and you heard Christianity here or there,
Mhm.
but of course all of the surroundings, the influence over the last 40 years of your life that you've been raised in this other religion are
Yeah.
going to have, like, kind of what you were saying is like, oh, these people who are on this island, they're going to have so many mental confusion and, like,
Yeah.
almost irreversible. I think we could also say, like, something that my dad kind of argued against was like, oh, they're indoctrinating all our kids into being gay because they put these kids, these
Yeah.
gay characters on a TV show.
Yeah.
They have dads. That's going to make, all the kids want to be gay.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, you literally for your entire life were indoctrinated into a religion. And I think, not Christianity alone does that. And I mean, can you blame someone to deny another religion when you were, in my perception, indoctrinated into a religion your entire life, which is hard to deny after being
Like
indoctrinated. So even if it's free will, it doesn't feel free. You were manipulated your entire life.
Yeah.
To be wrong.
And, yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'll say this: the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, right? It's authoritative. Mm-hmm. It's the same Bibles that we call it the Hebrew Bible. We agree with that, right? God establishes judicial systems. So think about the most fair judge you could possibly have in existence. Obviously, he's going to factor in everything, right? When you read like the laws of God, like the 10 Commandments, for example, and etc.
How about Job? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, you're good. We can get into that. We can get into that. I put a pin on that. So when you think about the most perfect judge, a lot of the times when people read the laws of God, they think it's this like dogmatic black and white thing. No, things were factored in. There were court cases. There were witnesses. Sometimes things can be wrong. Sometimes context is important, right? You got to factor in everything before you lay a final judgment on someone. Okay, now if you presuppose a God who has the omni properties, who understands all of us better than us, knows your situation better than you, I think we can fairly assess that at Judgment Day, he's going to give you exactly what you deserve.
Yeah,
that could be really bad. That could be really good. But
so I think, you and I would agree that if the Christian God exists, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
Well, I think we both almost disagree with I guess the traditional teachings, at least the generalized traditional teachings that would.
Well, how about this? I'll word it like this: you may agree with them more than you disagree. You just may disagree with the framing of it. It's like
or maybe the teaching of it.
Yeah, it's flaccid. So like they would agree with everything that I'm saying right now. There's a reason why I'm brave saying this live, and I'll show this to anyone. God is absolutely a fair judge. He's a fair judge. Now how we understand that, put that aside for a second. This is an omnibenevolent. This is the omni being. This is the maximally perfect being. What we say is irrelevant. If that person is going to be with God, he's going to be with God because he knows exactly what happened there. Our judgment is irrelevant. So when we start casting pearls or casting stones and saying they're indoctrinating and they're going to, it's just kind of yapping, but we don't act like that.
I was listening to an Alex O'Connor thing today about one of the best arguments for God existing. And he said, well, think sorry, what was your wording? You said
maximally, the maximal being.
Yeah, think of a maximally good being. And then he said, can you think of that? Like, can you conceptualize that? And he said, now make them maximally good. Well, that one of the maximally good traits is that they would exist.
Yeah.
So that they would maximally exist.
Yeah.
Like exist to the full extent would be part of that property. So if you can essentially picture that the existence would be part of it. and then also like that the unwavering constant in the universe, that argument as well. I think both of those make me like more agnostic than something that's just like, oh, I don't want to believe.
Yeah, like to be fair to you, man, I think a lot of unfortunately, I think we need to be silent where the Bible is silent. And the Bible is, in these very unique and nuanced situations, the Bible is silent. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of Christians are very quick to speak when they shouldn't. And that's me included. Yeah. You know, I did a lot of research before I started running my mouth about these things.
Fun random question in the middle of this. If the universe, do you believe there's aliens in the universe?
Yeah.
Like somewhere, you know, wherever.
I think if they do exist,
I guess intelligent life. Sorry, not necessarily.
Yeah, I do. What they are, that's going to be a debate. But
do you think they go to heaven? I guess.
I think because the Bible.
Ask a Christian that.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't think about.
No, I got you. I'll answer it. So remember, God's the creator of all things. So even if aliens exist, they got to submit to God. He created everything. So if hypothetically,
humans are less important than we think we are, like in the sense that like people used to think we were the center of the universe, the center of God, the most important thing to him.
Yeah.
Or do you think that's just more like our perspective?
We're all equally important. So God even loves animals. Funny enough, he even like talks to them in the Bible a lot. But we have a
unique on that one.
Sure. Yeah, sure. But
you know where that one's gonna go.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. I've talked about it all. But we have a unique role in that we're in his image. So we're important in one sense, but that doesn't mean that we're more valuable than all of creation. All creation is good. Obviously, there are some people who would say that these so-called aliens are demons. I'm putting that aside for a second, okay?
Do you believe that animals have a place in heaven? Or their own place in heaven, I guess? Or whatever you think that would be.
I do. I think the prophets talk about that.
I've seen mixed sides of that.
Well, so Isaiah the prophet, he talks about there's going to come a point where there will be peace among animals. So I think
he says they will be like
sheep
repaid, essentially. Right?
Yeah, some theologians believe that. Yeah, like they're essentially like martyrs, is how some theologians look at it.
Connor a little bit. He's mentioned that like, would you endure the worst suffering to get the greatest pleasure? And most people would say no.
Yeah. Well, they because
not given that choice.
Yeah, biblically speaking, they're to serve us, but we're also not to mistreat them. So there's a presupposition there that, you know, there's a role being assigned to them that in a perfect scenario they would consent to. So that's kind of like, you know, but that's theology. That's not, you know.
Well, but I guess a little bit into that. I guess we'll get into it a little bit because that's
sure.
what I said put a pin into is the problem of suffering.
Yeah.
And we don't have to spend too much time on this because we could go forever. But how about unneeded animal suffering in the sense, I think the one that Alex O'Connor brings up a lot is a tree branch falling on a deer's leg.
Yeah.
And the deer gets stuck and bleeds out to death and can't move for the rest of its life in agonizing pain. And I guess the preconceived notion is that these animals are feeling pain that we are. I mean, they show signs that we are. I think we could both agree that the assumption is that they're feeling pain like we are, at least in a general sense, especially mammals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like, I think he says like a zebra that gets ate by a lion could God not have created essentially an anesthetic for them without taking away from free will, I guess. So
to not get too deep into it, because that's something that could be a whole podcast. There's a couple of
sorry, I'm just so the stream knows, I'm asking these questions because these are questions that stop me believing in an all-powerful, all loving God. I feel like if those things can't be true, and then also these things exist, or a lot of these issues exist, you know. But with Yugi's stances on a lot of things, I do think those are more in the direction that I would look for in this. But there's still some things that we'll still get into that.
Sure. So there's a couple. I'm just gonna. So let me tell you what annoys me about Alex. He bakes a lot of his stuff with a framework that never gets challenged by debaters, and that's what drives me up a wall. He grants them. He and I'm being charitable with you because you're my boy, but let's pretend like you're Alex for a second, and I'm gonna attack the point that Alex just made. Yeah,
just attack the point
argument
of animal suffering, needless animal suffering.
Yeah, so there's two fundamental, very big problems that I don't like about Alex saying that, and that's this notion that he rhetorically piles a lot on it to make it sound like it truly is pointless. You don't know that, right? So let me take it to its most extreme example.
You're saying a butterfly effect, for example, or
there you go. You already grasped what I was about to say. Yep. We don't know if every single drop of blood as it was screaming contributed to something that needed to happen. You don't know that. I'm not saying that it's pretty.
Would be that could God not create a world where that isn't needed? Or you're saying this is the best possible situation that he could have created?
In this hypothetical, we're both
all powerful, all good God.
Yeah. In this,
what you would expect, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah. See, so the answer would be: is that what you would expect to happen? The thing is,
an all powerful, all good God, would you expect?
Yeah. If you don't come in from a Christian framework, then sure, like it doesn't make sense. But the Christian framework tells you that everything that happens absolutely is justifiable and will be compensated in the end. And it was not for naught.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I think it's similar to like if there was one animal that suffered and died and didn't go towards the greater good, like what you're saying, whether that's butterfly effect or
that's what I mean. Like if there was
a just God, like even if one animal that suffered and the point before was like, would you endure the worst suffering to get the greatest pleasure? Most people would say no.
I could
they're an unwilling participant in that. Like they're not even given that choice.
I would say under the Christian framework, we can confidently say absolutely yes. It was necessary insofar as that it was a part. God allowed it, and it is going to be. Now, how big of an impact it's going to be, we won't know until the end. But it is going to be factored into the state of affairs, like the butterfly effect. It affects the timeline.
Yeah, but do you think there's one that doesn't necessarily affect it in a positive way? Like, is there the chance that one animal suffering in the world didn't account to a positive butterfly effect?
Not in my framework, no. Not in what I am.
That's something I disagree with. I think there are plenty of animals that suffer
completely unnecessarily.
Well, and so like let's say the only thing God changed was that he administered a anesthetic in the body of these zebras that stopped it from feeling the pain. Like everything else is the same. Could God not create a world where that is the case? And that's like, I mean, like you could argue that for any pain. For
like
animals that are unjust, like
you
unjustly.
It's a difficult thing because now we would have to. Okay, I think me and you would both agree that pain receptors are good for certain reasons. Like it's good to know. Hey, I stepped on something.
I need to go poop.
Exactly. So then we would have to say that like God would be more just to like put some sort of.
Also, yeah, there's nuance in that. Is that the only way? Is pain the only way to administer those signals to us?
That's efficient? That's like efficient, you would say? Like, should there be...
I mean, could God create a world where stubbing our toe, we have to get a secondary pain when it hits our brain signals?
Yeah.
Like, could God not create a signal that's like, oh, I need to get... Like, I think bugs are a good example. They can tell when limbs are missing, but don't have the same nerves we do, so they don't actually feel pain. Is there a reason like humans feel pain, but bugs do not? Like, I guess other than a survival, evolutionary reason.
Yeah, like
God create an alternative reason.
Yeah, we would have to. That only begs the question of whether or not that would actually be
more beneficial in
like if we would appreciate it in the same way. right? Because like when you fall off a bike, you remember it, right? When you stub your toe, you remember it, and you,
I guess,
you know.
in the world we live in, do you think this is like God's like this is the ideal, perfect situation? I guess. Like God's like there's not like one improvement I could have made
If
that would have made this situation better.
if you want genuine experience and true freedom of choice in terms of having a relationship with him, I would argue positively yes. This is the only effective way.
Like
that
Doctor Strange, he's like, I've looked through
yeah
5 million different things, and this is the one universe. And you're like, you are sold on that this is the best possible. You know, like of course you're just trusting God that this was the one. This like the pain and suffering was what needed to happen.
Like I would
if he improved something else would have been thrown off.
Yeah, like I think if you want to have a relationship with created things that are inevitably going to be fallible, yes. Because okay, let me be clear. Let's say you want beings that you can have a genuine relationship with freely and experience, all things and be able to, do it. Like, I guess we could postulate that it would be better if they got some sort of like, I don't know, mental notification.
Yeah.
I would have to, I would have to really entertain that and see like, because it seems a little arbitrary. Like it's still that you're still experiencing something. It may not be the same. How do I say? Yeah, like it may not be like as traumatic, right? Like obviously it's a lot less traumatic if you don't feel anything at all and then you just get a notification. But like, I would contend the value in that though. I would and also.
Well, I guess we're talking right now about a human sense, but even in an animal sense, that in this, like you're saying, the survival things, it's like I'm already dying. Administer that DMT right away.
Like
that are on the ground and screaming
I get you.
and suffering.
Yeah,
he couldn't have moved that DMT an hour up, or right when it, turn off the lights a little bit earlier. In that case, I don't know. Like, there's just zero. I think things he could have changed, like zero.
I really think not that he could have. I think. I just think that there's a really strong argument that could be made that experiencing that really does show how much value is in the opposite. And if you don't really feel that, you wouldn't know it. And I know that sounds a little crass. You know what I mean? Because, when you think about even just like human suffering, these stories move us. You know what I mean? Like they really make us reflect. I don't think I muted myself. I don't think a world where you can't empathize or sympathize with the story that you're hearing in terms of the pain would we be able to appreciate. I just don't. To me, it doesn't sound logical. Like if you just got a notification saying, yeah, that really sucked. I just don't think that transfers then when you can actually feel it. It's kind of like when you see someone get kicked in the nuts. What happens? You go, oh, yeah. It's almost like versus
like a similar thing is like have a baby dying of cancer, or like a young child with no understanding, or like opportunity to end up with that understanding. And it's like, I know a lot of people say, well, it's just because humans sinned. I think that's
it's a little
answer for
it's a flaccid answer though.
I also don't I don't feel like that's, like, I'm saying change my mind, and it just doesn't feel sufficient.
Like there needs to be more meat.
Yeah, like it feels like it's the answer is, well, we just can't understand God, and he's probably just right about it, and I believe that he's just going to be right because he's always right, which is a fair answer. It just doesn't convince me. I think it's the issue.
Yeah, because you're bought into the idea that there's no possible good reason for that to happen, right? Which is fair.
Yeah, like in the sense of I think an animal who gets landed on by a tree, while I would agree with you that there could be a butterfly effect, there's no other way for God to do that or like improve the situation where, maybe that animal doesn't get, they just die instantly once their leg's crushed, like, or like it's administered. Yeah. Like I feel like there's any improvement that you could think of, like maybe it's able to regenerate that leg and be fine again, but I get that would change the butterfly effect. So I'm just saying like there's no improvement in general that an all-powerful, all-good God could make to make this not
I get
so
you.
bad
And
for so many creatures. And
I think when you look at it in that framework that like, hey, look, this really truly seems senseless and I just don't see it. I'm not trying to say it's an argument from incredulity. I'll say it this way. I think it doesn't factor in, because when people say God has a plan, they don't flesh that out. It really doesn't grant from our framework when you're internally critiquing, let's say, because the problem with evil is an internal critique. It is. You're going into the Christian framework and you're saying this seems inconsistent. Okay. Well, look.
Well, and so that's based on, like we're it's not necessarily an internal critique. It's an internal critique. It's like an audit from the outside.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, well, I wouldn't do that because then you have to justify somehow.
I'm auditing a religion that I can't comprehend. Like,
of course.
Comprehend how people would back that. I guess.
Yeah,
you see what
I get you.
Like,
yeah,
so like saying, I'm trying to understand it from your framework because you believe in an all-powerful, all-good God. Why wouldn't they make an improvement?
Okay, so
like something's off with the numbers when I'm.
I got you. So let me ask you. Let me challenge you a little bit. What the heck was that? Got a new follower. Thank you. That was scary, dude. That freaking sound effect is crazy. All right, so look, when you factor in the Christian framework and or you don't know that in the end all things will be reconciled, all things will be compensated. We're going to be in a perfect situation where the suffering will not be needed anymore, but we will retain our experiences. We will retain all the stories. We'll remember back then. We'll contemplate how things once were in the last life. Do you not see any utility in that? Just a quick question.
I think from a human standpoint, it can be. But in the, like, you're saying everyone will be paid back, right? Like stuff like that.
All like creation, everything. We will have all of our memories with us, though.
I guess what would pay back a infant that gets cancer and dies immediately, and why did they have that undue suffering and even be brought into this world?
Some theologians posit that they will.
From an all-good God.
I got you. Some theologians will posit that in the future that child will be given a proper childhood in the next life. Yeah, but it wouldn't. It wasn't like they died for absolutely nothing. The reason will be explained later. But do you still
it reconnects to that thing? Like, are you willing to go through endure the worst pain to get the best, like the best reward or like the best pleasure?
Yeah,
I feel like most people would disagree with that.
Okay, let me
promising.
I got you. Let me sharpen it a little bit. Do you think that does it help with character building at all? Can you see that? Do you think that you're a better person because of the pain you went through?
If they're given the opportunity to character build, I think there is the possibility that it could be beneficial.
Yeah. So that's kind of like
I don't think in all cases is it beneficial.
Okay, now what if in terms of animals, or I guess animals and children,
I guess
right?
Even us, like let's say I lost my arm, it caused me to go into a spiral of depression, start doing plenty of drugs, lose my family, and end up ending it all, for lack of better words. Like I don't think that would be like, oh, losing my arm ended up being a positive.
In any context, it would be a positive, you would say?
No, I think there are cases where it can be a positive. Sorry, but like there are cases where it is a negative.
Okay.
Like if I were to lose my arm, become a drug addict, lose my family, get super depressed, sorry, and or alt shift delete or whatever, control alt delete.
Yeah, that's fine.
And like, do you think that outcome was a positive, or like, what if it turned me away from God? Like, plenty of people get turned away from God from things that happen to them. Would you argue that that's an overall positive?
Well, that's the thing, is that it kind of it falls on its face, because I do know
that they never truly believed.
Yeah, like it falls on its face only because I know people who've been through way worse than anyone I know, and it actually made them a believer.
But so with that said, and for some people will do that. I agree with you.
Yeah. So like,
but for some people it will not. And
yeah, like
things could happen to two different people, and
it
happened to two different people.
Yeah. So
what I mean?
What I'm getting at, because I don't want to get too lost in the weeds, is I think there's two things happening that I can at least for sure say that will be beneficial in the new, let's call it the new world that is to come by God. Anyway, what's going to happen is we're going to be able to learn from our experiences and be better, and we'll be able to greater appreciate what could have happened. So, for example, even if something didn't happen to you, let's say in another country, and you hear stories about it, you can appreciate and see you be able to appreciate even more so what is happening. Now, again, I understand that it doesn't escape the issue of
empathy,
and it's a unique feeling. It's a different way, because relations are real under the Christian framework, right? Like how you relate to something, although it's abstract, kind of like a number, it's still a real thing. And I'm struggling to see even in the most extreme examples you can give, how
you have the extreme example that I think again Alex O'Connor talks about, which is like you create an issue to solve it, is what you're saying, to have character building, stuff like that, and change.
Yeah, it's a part of it. Like I don't know.
Something he brings up is, was it good that slavery existed?
No.
To have the outcome of Martin Luther King.
Right.
I think it's the conversation.
I don't think it. How about this?
I don't say that the medicine isn't, like, is it good that people get cancer so we can find the cure for cancer? Like, the argument is no, it's not good that people had that initial thing to get the outcome.
Yeah, like I would say it's not necessary. It didn't need to happen. However, it doesn't mean that it's pointless. So something not necessarily happening doesn't mean that it's completely pointless. It doesn't tie to anything.
It's pointless. I just feel like it's not necessarily.
You would say it's not beneficial. That's the thing.
No, it's not necessarily beneficial. I do agree with that, but I'm saying it's not even. It doesn't align for an all-powerful, just God to me. And I think things could be better. Like, we're not in the perfect universe that you're describing.
Mm-hmm. And so the question becomes,
I feel like there's holes. There's holes to me, and I don't necessarily think, like, you don't have to agree with me.
I do.
But I think you can see the points that, like, where I'm coming from, at least.
Dude, as a Christian, I agree with you. As a Christian, I agree with you. There are times when I look at God and I'm like, why? Right? Why did it have to be this way? But it doesn't entail that there isn't a greater purpose happening. And it doesn't entail that it was genuinely senseless. That's the part that if we're going to use that argument, I will always contend with, because and this is where we kind of split, right? Because when you're saying I genuinely see this as fruitless, I can think of like 500 reasons as why that had to happen.
Well, I think from the Christian perspective, and what you're saying is, it doesn't mean everything's pointless. I'm not saying everything's pointless. I'm saying
certain things.
There's at least one thing out there that is pointless.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to Christians. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
If there is one thing out there, like, even theoretically, if you think there could be one thing out there that could have been better, or one thing out there that he could have changed or didn't need to happen that was pointless, then how could I believe in this all powerful, all good God?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I get.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
I'm not arguing. Like 99% of things could have purpose, right? Like, but that 1% that doesn't turns like makes me think it's not all good.
Yeah, I get you. Like for us, there in our framework, there's not a single thing that passes that isn't being used. You know what I mean? It's not that.
Which is
yeah.
fair.
I'm sorry.
And I think we'll agree to disagree. I think we've got the
okay,
points
Mama?
off.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, my apologies. I had to
you're
do
good.
something. Yeah, take a side note. Yeah,
I guess,
but
along the same lines, do you want to talk about Job a little bit? And your
give me 1
thoughts on
second.
him?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
Go ahead, real quick. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. And if you're on like a timeline or something, that's fine too. Just let me know.
Yeah, like we might have to.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's getting kind of late.
No, you're good. You're
And
good.
we're talking about everything. Do you want to talk about Job at all? Or your thoughts on Job?
Yeah, I do, but I might have to wrap it up here. And
okay. Do you want to ask questions, and we can, like, because other things I would want to talk about is, of course, I know you were talking about a little bit on your stream is, slavery in the Bible, and how God doesn't condemn it to the fullest. He almost gives rules for it, which I get that you said. Which again, these are topics, so I won't go into it.
No, you're good.
You're in the Bible.
Okay.
Another thing would be Job. Another thing would be of course, the treatment of the Canaanites, the genocide.
Yeah.
And the order of the genocide, which I get that he was like the god of the Jews and stuff in that. Other gods were ruling over other areas and they were sinful and stuff. But they're talking about those specific topics. Those are all kind of intertwined in reasons I have a hard time believing and kind of connected to, the problem of evil and suffering and also just a just God doesn't seem to align with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I know, like, just in a cosmic sense, that why would a God who cares about us so much create so many things that are trying to kill us all the time? And that's not necessarily something that Alex O'Connor brings up, but, whether that's comets, asteroids, the sun exploding, super volcanoes, natural disasters, whatever.
Yeah.
It seems like we're always on the brink of destruction. So I'd say,
natural evils.
Yeah, and why for a God that wants a relationship and eternity, like why is there so many things trying to end us? I think that's a huge thing.
Okay.
We kind of talked about aliens a little bit, or other intelligent life that would be kind of connected to that in a way. I think those are main things that I don't think we gotta talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you're open to it, I'll talk to you after this. We can continue this. We could do like a part 2 if you want.
Yeah,
because I gotta wrap up.
We can do a part 2. I totally get. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I got these written down, and then I think next time we'll go over them. Unfortunately, I can't go over questions, but
no, you are good.
If you want, I will say this at the end of the pod. Guys, if you're for some reason watching this and you have any questions for me or Cam, if you can leave a comment, you could even leave it on the, we'll read it. You could even leave it in the live stream. It'll be in the replay, and then we'll bring it up next time. Because I think maybe by then we'll be done. I doubt it though, because these are some big topics. I wrote them all down so we don't forget.
And like we said, I'm sure we could go, endless on these conversations. Like, like you said, the problem of suffering could be a whole episode on its own. Or
absolutely.
A lot of this stuff.
Yeah. This is good combo. I appreciate your time, man. It was very good.
Everyone,
for real. And thank you everybody who stuck by and watched.
He really talks. He needs to write down his stuff. Right, I think I let him answer all the questions. I need him to ask questions.
Yeah, this thing is gonna be like a whole 3-4 part saga until like the end of the year. Because I can ask a lot.
We will figure out the true answer, guys.
We'll have
this YouTube channel.
We'll have it all figured out for you at the end of this podcast. Yeah,
you'll see us having like a whiteboard with all the things pinning to each other, and we're like, "Yep, here's the answer."
All right, guys. Well, thank you again, Cameron, for coming, and hopefully we can do this again. I'll text you after this. Guys, definitely let me know what you thought. Thank you, everyone who's left us comments. Like I said, leave a question if you got it in the comments. Leave a like. If you're watching online, leave a review outside of YouTube or any other streaming platforms. And thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Neighbor, whether you're Christian or not.
I agree. Absolutely. All right, my man. We'll talk, brother. I gotta head out.
Yep. Love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Having me on.
Of course. Anytime.
All right.
Look forward to it.
Yep. Catch you later, brother.
See you.
Peace.
All right, guys. I gotta bounce. Appreciate y'all hanging through this, and hopefully we will continue this in part 2, where we're gonna yap some more. And by the way, the guy in Kick Your